With that kid megalodon we found, how about we raise it so that it loves us and doesn't want to eat us? Like how we raise lion cubs so that they're friendly with us and don't want to kill us? Exactly. You're gonna be shark bait, my friend. Enjoy. Everybody shut up and action. Alright guys, let's talk about a sequel to The Meg, The Meg 2. The Meg 2 was not the greatest film ever. It's just another film that feels like, oh wow, we have a great movie called The Meg. Now let's make a sequel of it. Oh, we don't really have a good movie for the sequel, but it will be an amazing money grab. So let's put slap and slap together and wow, we got a movie. Let's go farm some money. That is literally the entire feel behind this movie because a lot of it does not make any sense whatsoever. The movie is essentially Jonas returns and they're during a hunt for exploring the Mariana Trench because now that they're so advanced, they want to explore, they want to deepen their understanding, they're expanding their understanding of the ocean and the creatures that have been lost in time or creatures we haven't even seen or learned about yet. They're doing a noble deed. They're learning about the deep sea to share with the world. But what happens? Of course, they find out that the organization they work for has some greedy people who are trying to mine ore from the ground to try and sell for money because it's rare ore. Red flags. I mean, look, the movie, for the most part, is interesting from the character aspect. Not really interesting. That is a lie. I mean, the movie is interesting from the character point of view. Jonas, always an interesting character, but the more so interesting character in this movie is the daughter and her uncle. Let's start with the daughter. She's that type of kid who seems like she's innocent, nice, has big dreams, but is also rebellious. Like, she says, I am 14, I want to go down to the Mariana Trench with you. No, Jonas says. Okay, I'll hide in the compartment, but I'm smart, so I'll pack everything extra I need for safety concerns. I mean, like, that's cool. Like, I mean, she's clearly a smart kid. She knows what to do. She's an interesting character, and, like, a large part of loving the character comes from the other characters with Jonas and her uncle, who are always overprotective of her, and it's like, because of them and how they behave with her, you're kind of like, okay, I need this kid to be safe. I really liking this kid. She needs to be safe with everything she does. And that's how you fall in love with her. But more so than her, you fall in love with this uncle because he's absolutely wild. He's an honestly insane character. And right off the get-go from the movie, you're like, this guy is gonna die. Yeah. But honestly, you really fall in love with his character, how wild he is, how crazy he is. He literally stands in front of a megalodon expecting it not to eat him. He is absolutely crazy, and you just love to see all his wild endeavors and wild actions he does. But for the most part, the story of this movie is crazy. I mean, like, yes, you're going exploring the Mariana Trench, and, like, you have these people who are greedy, finding minerals, want to sell them, and you're getting in their way. They work for your company, but they don't want you in their way. They want to make a crap ton of money. Yeah, that entire plot point makes sense. It's a typical trope, but it's interesting. It's a fun watch. But here, it just makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I guess they wanted to explain it briefly and have us gloss over it, but the movie they're trying to depict, the story behind it, it's not interesting enough to gloss by. Once you see something that doesn't make sense, question after question pops in your head and you're like, wait, what the hell? Pause the movie. What the heck is going on? How does any of this occur? How does it make sense? Like, for example, they're exploring the Mariana Trench. They're exploring it quadrant by quadrant. And all of a sudden, after a shark attack, they discover, they walk into an unknown quadrant that they haven't explored yet and discover there's an entire base operation mining minerals from the ocean. I mean, like, okay, I get that you're gonna do greedy stuff if you discover minerals, but how do you discover the minerals and ore in the bottom of the ocean that has, in an area that has been completely unexplored? And then on top of that, how do you build an entire base there without people knowing? Firstly, you need the armed forces enough to protect the people who are going to build that base. You need enough people to go down there and do that. But, like, that's the easy part, how they snuck by. Like, it makes sense how people were able to sneak by and get down there. But, like, it doesn't make sense how they first found the ore, how they set up the base, how they were able to set it up without getting eaten by all the different deep sea creatures that live down there. Because even the tiniest bit of light will get the deep sea creatures chasing you. So it's like, how are you able to build this? How are you able to discover all this when it hasn't even been explored yet? Like, what? And then there's the entire aspect of the deep sea creatures that you meet there. There are a bunch of different creatures that you meet. They're all really interesting. They're all really cool. They're badass. And then there's this one creature which suddenly is able to walk on land. Like, how does it have amphibious properties? Like, okay, maybe there's caves with air pockets where they learn to walk, but it's dark down there. How they adapt to the harsh sunlight immediately without any sort of pain. They're just able to walk easily. How are they able to walk on land? Yeah, I guess there's air pockets. I don't know. There's not, but like you can assume that, and that makes sense. But there's a lot that doesn't. How do they adapt to the pressure difference? Huh? How do they adapt to the light difference? Huh? And then on top of that, they're just eating humans and not even eating them. They just kill them and then move on to kill another. They're not even eating them for food. It doesn't seem like it's any kind of self-defense. It's just like, wait, what? A lot of it doesn't make sense from all these various standpoints. But a lot of it does make sense in the actions once you get back to the normal story. Oh, you found us out, we gotta kill you. And I guess like that's the only aspect that kind of makes sense, and how they go hunting to kill them. But they also behave very stupidly. Oh, they're going in the ocean when megalodons. If you have a... Oh yeah, they go running away in the ocean to escape us when megalodons are also in the ocean. Yeah, smart move. Let's go chase them so the megalodons will eat us while they can get away. Like, huh? A lot does not make sense in the villain's mindset. The villains in general, the villains just feel completely forced to make a story. Yeah, a lot of it just makes no sense. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got a megalodon versus a giant squid fight. I mean, yeah, it is complete badass, and the visuals surrounding that, visuals in general in this movie is absolutely beautiful. The CGI in this movie is gorgeous. But the only issue I have with that fight, like, it's completely badass, it's sick, it's exciting, it's probably the most thrilling moment in the entire movie. But it's also like, I can't see anything because it's just mostly splashing. Wow. And I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's an undersea fight with two really badass creatures of the ocean. You're not going to see much from what you see. It is exciting. It's not, this isn't a criticism. This is just me talking about the fight because it was just mainly splashes, but it was still a pretty sick fight to watch, I guess. Yeah, besides that, the movie was kind of just dull. While it is the most exciting part and it all makes sense in that fight aspect, it kind of kills the movie because that's honestly the peak exciting part of the movie, and you can't really see anything that's happening. It's still an interesting fight, but it kind of just kills the entire vibe and expectations you have leading up to that. There aren't many expectations, but you can immediately tell from the boring story that this is going to be the exciting part of the movie, and it just kind of lets you down with how little you get to see. Honestly, most characters actually had a great performance in this movie. If you want to talk about acting performances, everyone did really well, especially the kid. She actually surprised me. She was a really good actress in this movie. Her character was annoying, but that wasn't the kid. That was just her portraying an annoying kid, and she did that really well. She's annoying, but also lovable at the same time, and it was a really interesting character. All the other characters were pretty interesting to watch. They just killed off the mom. I don't think they could get her back for this movie. Okay, that doesn't really add or lose anything to the movie, I guess, but it was an interesting movie in general. But it wasn't really an interesting movie in general. It was just pretty boring. It's just the characters that kind of get you hooked to wanting to watch. But even then, not really so much. You could care less about the story. You could care less about the characters. I guess the characters are quirky in a way to watch them. But like, they're not. It's not really that interesting a movie. There's not really a point where I'd say, yeah, you should watch a sequel. It's just kind of lame. There are references to Jaws and Jaws 2 once again. It actually explained to me that there are multiple Jaws movies as well. I just thought there was Jaws and that's it. No, there's a bunch of sequels. So that's interesting to watch. I'm not going to watch them because I didn't care enough about Jaws, and I'm going to care enough about a sequel for that. As much as I love megalodons and sharks, this movie was also a waste of time. It was kind of crap. Not really that great. It was a decent watch, I guess, but like, not really that good. I say this movie's like a 52% tops. Not that great. If you want to watch it, I guess watch it, but don't go in expecting something crazy good. It's not. So, peace.